Hello my friend, and welcome back to the channel, AI for Productive People. In this video today, we are going to talk about how to automate your weekly or timely reporting, and not only automate that reporting with ChatGPT, but also automate the interpretation of that reporting. Because interpretation and context is very important when you are delivering information to clients or to stakeholders or C-suite executives or managers or anything like that. And I'm about to show you how to do it step by step using ChatGPT and Zapier. All right, so when you log into Zapier, which is essentially the tool we're going to use to build out our automations, you're gonna be asked to create a Zap, and you're gonna be hit with this blank slate here, right? So Zapier, in case you don't know, it's a no-code tool where you connect different apps together, and it's based off of triggers and actions. So a trigger is an event that initiates the entire workflow, and the action is the event that performs. And you could have many actions after the trigger, which is really cool. So here is the automation that I wanted to show you, because a lot of people don't know that this kind of thing is possible. Okay, so not only are we looking at data and automating the delivery of that data to somebody else, but we are also having ChatGPT work and interpret that data, depending on how we train it to interpret that data. And it even does this with numeric data. And in case you don't know, you can insert CSV files or CSV data into ChatGPT, and it can analyze all that data. It can tell you the rows, the columns, it could average things out, it could do a bunch of essentially Excel automations, whatever you need it to do. And with Code Interpreter, what you get with ChatGPT 4 or GPT-4, you can even have it do visualizations and all this cool stuff, right? But for our purposes here, we know that that's possible, but we also we don't want to have to log into ChatGPT and input our data and and wait for it to load, etc. We want the most automation possible, so that things happen automatically without us having to do much. So here is an example of how we can automate a weekly report. And for you, it could be a daily thing, it could be a weekly thing, because the cool thing is that Zapier has this tool called Schedule by Zapier. So if you're starting from scratch, you would just go to schedule here, and you would build it out here. So very easy. And then you would select whatever time frame you want. Okay, hourly, monthly, weekly, etc. So for our purposes, let's do weekly. And I created, just to show you what's possible here, I created a sample client sheet, okay, for let's say a Google Ads agency. So if I'm running a Google Ads agency where I have a client, and my job is to run ads for them and deliver a weekly report for them, here is a sample spreadsheet of what that could look like, right? Where my team of media buyers can come in here once a week and fill out information that is associated with that account. Okay, so obviously if I sent this to a client, like here is your spreadsheet of data, it's not a very nice customer experience, right? We want somebody to look at this data and frame it and present it in a way where it's digestible for the client, and it's also a good customer experience, right? Because everyone wants to have that customer experience, that excellent customer experience feeling, right? Where things aren't just thrown at their face, things are very well packaged for them. Okay, so just to show you how it would look like if you were to set it up yourself here, and not just from like my final template here, you would go to Sheet, you would click that. So that's the action that happens after a week, let's say every week on a specific day. And what you would select here is this that says get many spreadsheet rows, okay? And I'll show you why in a second. And then we would choose the account, the Google Ads account. Once that's set up, we click next. And then we select a specific spreadsheet that we want to use for this example. Then the worksheet, we'll select the worksheet as well. And we only have to fill in here what is actually required. So this asterisk here is, these are the only things that we actually need to fill in. Everything else is optional. So here I'm selecting, I want all the columns to be pulled in, just in case. And then the max rows here, that's what we're selecting. So let's just say, 10, it can go up to 500, it looks like. And we ignore the header just because it has the name of the columns. And should this step be considered a success when nothing is found? No. Okay. So that's what you would do, and you can test the steps and do whatever you want here. For the sake of time, I'll just keep going. So the next step is where the magic actually happens. And if you saw the video where I showed you how to automate Gmail, where you just log into your Gmail and there are draft copied responses to all of your emails, they're ready for you to just quickly review and send. It's a very similar concept here. Okay. The next step is the where the magic really happens. So we add ChatGPT as a step here, like so. Specifically conversations with ChatGPT. Here we go, conversation. And if you don't have an OpenAI API, you're gonna have to get one. Basically, just Google OpenAI API, and then you'll be able to log in and create an account with OpenAI, and you'll be able to go here to the top right of the platform or the dashboard, and then you'll get a screen where you can choose if you view API key, and then you'll create a new key here. Okay. Never share that key because that's like your personal password to be able to use OpenAI's products. And if you don't know, OpenAI is the company that runs ChatGPT. So that's how we're able to use ChatGPT functionality in our own apps, because we're able to use the API. So you would also have to set up the billing here. And the nice thing about the billing, the API, is that it's specifically for GPT 3.5. It's very, very cheap. So you're not spending a ton of money to generate these responses. But if you want to really level up and you have a complex task and you want to use GPT-4 instead, then that model is a little bit more expensive. So you definitely want to set limits to how much can be billed. And you'll be able to do that in here very easily. All right, once we set up the conversation part, we continue. And here we are now. So instead of having you watch me type all this out, I'm just going to show you what I've already inputted here so that you can model something similar. So there are two main parts to this here. There's the user message, okay? And there is the model. So in this case, we can use GPT-4, we can use 3.5. You should get similar outputs, but for now, we'll do GPT-4 so that we can see kind of like the best output here. But again, if the costs are too prohibitive, then I recommend using 3.5 turbo here. 3.5 turbo. Yeah. So this one's fine. The turbo 613. If you need a higher token window, so let's say you have a lot of data, you could use like one like this with a 16K token window. So again, I would start simple. So I would just start with like something like this. And then if you're really curious, you can go to, again, OpenAI's website, and then you could see how much each of these individual models, cost to use. So 3.5 turbo, as you can see, is really, really cheap here. From like, as you can see, it's very, very cheap. I mean, 0.0015 per 1K token input, 0.002 per 1K token output. That's a lot of information going back and forth. Super cheap. The 16K context window one is a little higher, so you're gonna have to be careful there. All right, so we selected our model there, but let's go back to the user message, because this is the part that is really important. So this part, the user message and the assistant instructions, are incredibly important. Okay. So for this particular sheet, what I want ChatGPT to do is I want it to look at this data and I want it to make some sense out of it. Okay. I don't just want it to spit out numbers, because then we wouldn't be using the benefits of AI, right? I wanted to look at these numbers and intelligently spit out some type of analysis, some type of useful framing of the data that would be beneficial for the end user. In this case, let's say it's a client, okay? So this is the user message that I used. The following is a data set of the performance of a Google Ad account. The columns are date, ad spend, CPL, which is cost per lead, revenue, and ROAS, which is return on ad spend, respectively. And then you insert a variable, okay? So here it's called insert data. So how I got this is I just went here, insert data, I clicked here, and then I just clicked on rows here, okay? So that's what you see here, raw rows. And it's actually not here. It's rows is here, but I didn't click on rows, I clicked on raw rows. So that's what I would pull. I would pull the raw rows data. And then I wrote, please write an email to the client where you go over the results of the most recent week. Skip the subject line and intro. Make sure to jump right into the analysis with no introduction or context. Okay, so I just use email because it's just a nice kind of formal way of communicating. But I probably didn't have to write this. And keep in mind that this is rough. Like I haven't completely optimized this to the fullest. I haven't tweaked every single line and data point here because this is an iterative process. So the more you use it, the more you realize, oh, that output was wrong. I probably need to instruct it better. Or, oh, it's saying this thing. I don't want it to say this thing, right? So you're gonna have to go back and keep tweaking this and iterating. Okay. So that's what we got for now for the user message. But that's not all. We also have to give it a assistant instructions. So for the assistant instructions, one assistant instructions that I've tested is this one where I say you are an account manager and data analyst of a Google Ads agency. Your tone, you could say, is professional and conversational. Your job is to keep the clients happy. When asked to analyze campaigns, you always focus on the week-to-week trends first. You also structure the analysis in this way. And I gave it specifically how I wanted to output the information. Okay. Week of, insert latest week here. Weekly wins. So here's a point. Here we point out the strength of the data and the positive trends this week in bullet points. Ad spend, state of the ad spend. CPL, state the CPL. ROAS, state the ROAS. And then I said, then add a paragraph of general analysis and optimistic words for the client. Okay. So again, this is this particular use case, but you can make it whatever you want. Okay. So basically we continue here. We can leave the defaults for now, but you can play around with temperature later. And then we test the output. So here's where the magic happens when we actually test how ChatGPT is going to interpret this data here. All right, so if we scroll down, this is what we get here. So this was the content, just means that this is what we fed the large language model. But what we're really looking for here is the content of the response, okay? So as you can see, this is very accurate. It says week of 9/18/22, and that is the most recent week. So it read that correctly. It's giving me weekly wins. Further reduced cost per lead from 6 to 5.42, achieved a higher return on ad spend from 4.2 to 4.5. So yep, that's exactly what happened here, 4.2 to 4.5. It's analyzing it correctly. It's giving me the ad spend for that week. It's giving me the cost per lead and the ROAS for that week, as you can see. Yep, everything is accurate here. And now let's see what kind of analysis it's going to give me. So it says this week's campaign was superb in terms of both efficiency and overall performance. The decrease in CPL proves that our targeting strategies are becoming more precise and effective. The increase in ROAS is also a clear sign of the increased efficiency of our advertising efforts. Furthermore, the increase in ad spend that resulted in higher ROAS indicates that our advertising budget is being spent wisely. It's also reassuring to observe the positive correlation between the budget increase and the gains on each dollar spent. In conclusion, the results of this week's campaigns provide promising signs for the future. We will strive to continue improving these parameters to ensure the optimal usage of your marketing budget. So that's pretty good. I actually tweaked this a couple times, maybe like 3 different times with like 3 different prompts, and made it a little bit more professional and concise. But if you were a client and you received this in an email or in a Slack message, so I had set up like a sample automation here where you also send it in a Slack message instead of email. But this next action step can easily be Gmail or whatever you want it to be. But the most important concept here is that you can have ChatGPT be that middleman, right? That account manager, that customer service agent, that analyst that is reporting to a CMO or a COO or the CEO, right? Like it's taking that data and it's interpreting it in the way that you want it to be interpreted based off of your own trained instructions. And it's using its intelligence to be able to decipher that information, even if it's numerical data, right? Just laid out exactly like this. So the sky's the limit here. A lot of things are possible depending on your own individual use case. So now it's up to you to simply map out whatever your processes are. Are you doing something regularly that you hate? Are you inputting information somewhere that needs to be framed and presented to other stakeholders in your company or in your business or to clients, etc.? You have to map out your process and ask yourself, how can we use the power of large language models to be able to frame this information better than a human can, right? Because this came back really, really fast. It was a few seconds. And you've seen how ChatGPT, when you use it, 3.5 Turbo specifically, it just spits out these long paragraphs of information in less than a second, right? It digests all of that. So if you leverage the power of ChatGPT, you can also have that efficiency and speed at your fingertips. But you need to know how to use it. You need to experiment with it. You need to map out your processes, and you need to build these things out for yourself. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you need any help yourself with these automations, maybe you don't want to deal with the tech, maybe you need a little bit more strategy, a little bit more help mapping things out and creating a plan and executing on that plan. My Calendly is in the description of this video. Feel free to check it out, and if there's some spaces available there, we can set up a time. And if you found this information useful, I'd appreciate if you hit the like button so that this video can be delivered to more people, or share this to somebody you know that might find this helpful. And feel free to also ask questions in the comments if you need some clarification. Obviously, I check those out, especially since my channel is relatively new. And best of luck with your productivity. See you next time.